Welcome to Submodule 5. I'm Sedera Ranaivoarinosy, Communications Manager at Place Network in France. We offer transformative and innovative learning experiences to newcomers and host societies, while also giving newcomers space for self-determination to find their version of power. Since 2016, more than 500 learners have gone through our programs, and many more have attended our events in person and online. As an incubator serving migrant populations, you have specific needs in terms of communications, both in how you will communicate to your audience, but also regarding what knowledge is important to pass on to them when it comes to communicating about their project. Let's start with your needs as an incubator. The basis of the communication you will build for your migrant audience lies in intercultural communication. An individual's understanding of a message is influenced by different cultural norms. Your goal will be to find how to get to a place of shared meaning in your interactions. That's intercultural communication. Mastering intercultural communication is essential when working with people from other cultures to avoid misunderstandings and even offense. What does that mean exactly? Each culture has different social conventions that define how we interact, both in what we say and how we move with one another. It influences whether we look into each other's eyes or call others by their first names, or a more formal Mr., Mrs., or even a title like doctor or professor. It defines how directly we ask others for information or favor, or whether we talk about personal, private lives with relative strangers. It tells us whether to greet with a shake of the hands or a polite bow. You will need to infuse an awareness of these subtleties when building your communication with migrant communities in order for it to be successful. So how does that translate to your work in practice? When it comes to outreach and the interactions you will have with your migrant audience, the main thing is to question the channels you usually use to communicate and ask yourself where your audience truly is. Your traditional audience is on Instagram and LinkedIn. That may not be the case for the migrants you're now addressing, as different networks may be more popular where they come from. Don't overlook WhatsApp and Telegram, as well as community groups on Facebook, as they facilitate sharing among very large groups of people. If you're targeting audiences that have more fragile reading skills, why not try video or even audio formats? They can be easily shared on messaging apps. This brings us to the language you will use. Question the vocabulary you use in order to avoid jargon. Test it with members of your target audience to make sure your content is intelligible to all, as levels of English may vary. You can also use a tool like Word Counter, which can tell you the level of education needed to understand a text you've written. Also, don't overlook translating your content into your target audience's native languages, even if you will be giving training in English. Your goal is to make sure your organization is known to the communities and to increase the chances that your offer will be shared among them. Beyond language, visuals also say much more than we sometimes imagine. Making sure your visuals for your migrant-oriented programs offer a wide representation of faces and origins may seem like a given, but make sure that you start ensuring that diversity across all program communication, even your traditional entrepreneurship ones, if you're not doing it already. Your new audience needs to know that your programs aimed at them are a way for them to find their place in the main entrepreneurship development pipeline. As they seek to build a project that will integrate them in their host society and bring them personal and professional fulfillment, they need to see that your organization will put them on the right path to access the same mentoring, learning, and funding nationals receive. Prepare in-person interactions so you can foster open communication. Learn about the customs of the countries of the people you'll be meeting ahead of time. Be mindful of their boundaries and don't be afraid to ask people for feedback. And now, what do your beneficiaries need in order to build effective communications around their projects? First of all, they need to know the same basis of intercultural communication that you will be practicing with them. It will be the way for them to speak the language of their future clients and project partners. The basic principles they need to master can be summed up in 4 steps. 1 is open-mindedness, letting go of all blanket assumptions they have about other cultures. 2 is observation, listening carefully and closely observing the way the person from the host society responds to different communication styles in order to find similarities to their own. 3rd is asking questions, so that they never stay in doubt and ask to clarify if there's anything they've misunderstood or unsure about. And finally, seeking help, having mentors or a support system to coach them in the culture of the target country is key. That is something your organization is most apt to give them. Teach them the rules of your own culture so they have the entrepreneur's complete toolbox. Their key communication skill will be to know how to pitch their projects in all situations, from pitching in 30 seconds to 2 minutes in an elevator or at a networking event while holding a canapé in one hand and a glass of Perrier in the other, to presenting it for an hour in front of a group of potential investors or their banker. They'll need to be given adaptable storytelling tools to navigate these varied formats. You'll need to teach them, 1, how to tell the story of their entrepreneurial project. How did it start? Where are they now? And most importantly, what do they need for the project to grow? In this storytelling process, which often brings up personal life stories, make sure they're in charge of deciding whether their history of migration factors into the pitch they're building. While it can be an argument for differentiation and visibility to highlight their personal history of displacement, make sure they know they are in no way obligated to put it forward, especially if there's no direct link between their service offering and their cultural background. Their project is valuable on its own merits. During the program, integrate multiple opportunities for them to practice their pitching skills, both in safe circles as well as more public spheres. It will allow them to get comfortable with the act of selling themselves, which is a struggle for all entrepreneurs, and will ensure their discourse becomes second nature. To complement the storytelling and writing sessions the pitching preparation will require, modules around leadership will be valuable assets to give them the confidence to communicate unapologetically and enthusiastically about their projects and ideas. 2. How to identify the adequate communication tools they'll need. Make sure they understand that their communication needs depend on their project and that they need to regularly observe the communication trends in their field so they ensure they adapt their methods to the market. But here are some key questions to address. Do they need a website? For those who do, they should come out with basic SEO principles so that they're in a position to attract customers through the platform. What resources do they need to keep them properly active? The intricacies of digital literacy are best understood through hands-on practice, so I suggest you try to integrate immersion learning experiences for them to become familiar with these tools. Do they need printed presentation materials? If they do, you can help them navigate the costs of the outside skill sets they may need, from graphic design to printing. Throughout the entire process, help them define the success indicators of their communication and a frequency with which to evaluate their efforts. It will help them keep their actions relevant. How to build a winning sales argument. In Western culture, we often convince new adopters of a product or service first by highlighting the benefits that service will bring the customer and bringing existing supporting data second. Teach them how to list these benefits and know how to answer objections in negotiation settings. Finally, they'll need nonverbal communication tools to ensure their partners see them as equals. The proper greeting conventions, the conventions in terms of dress code for specific events, the right tone showing openness to the partner but also assertiveness around their project. Be careful for this not to make it seem like they need to wipe out their own cultural heritage or personal character. They should be giving this as advice for them to better prepare themselves and to understand the way events run around them so they can figure out how to make their own cultural specificities a strength in these settings. You now have the basic tools to best address and serve migrant entrepreneurs. Thank you for watching and listening.